There is a fruit that was once so expensive that people did not eat it. They rented it. They carried it to parties as a status symbol. They displayed it on dinner tables to show their wealth, then returned it the next morning without taking a single bite. This fruit was so valuable that a single pineapple in 17th century England could cost the equivalent of $80,000 today. That fruit was the pineapple, and its story is one of the most extraordinary in food history, a story that goes from the jungles of South America to the palaces of European kings, from rented fruit to doorstep decoration, from symbol of extreme wealth to the topping on a pizza. That divides the internet. The pineapple's journey through human history is unlike anything else. The story begins in the tropical lowlands of South America, in the region we now call Brazil and Paraguay. Wild pineapple plants grew here for thousands of years. The indigenous Guaraní people had been cultivating pineapples and eating them long before any European had ever seen the fruit. They called it nanas, meaning excellent fruit. They were not wrong. The pineapple had spread far beyond its original home before Europeans arrived. Indigenous peoples had carried it northward, through Central America, and into the Caribbean islands. When Columbus arrived on the island of Guadeloupe in November 1493, he found the island's villages, and in one of them he found something he had never seen before. A fruit that looked like a pine cone, but was nothing like one. Columbus's men cut into the pineapple. They tasted it, and something remarkable happened. Hardened sailors, men who had crossed the Atlantic and eaten ship's biscuits, full of weevils for months, tasted the pineapple and almost lost their minds with pleasure. One crew member later wrote that the taste was so extraordinary, so sweet, so clean, so perfect, that he struggled to describe it in any existing language. Columbus brought pineapples back to Spain. He presented them to King Ferdinand, along with other New World treasures. The king tasted it. His reaction was immediate and enthusiastic. The Spanish court had never tasted anything like it. The sweetness, the complexity, the explosion of tropical flavor. It was unlike any fruit growing in Europe, unlike anything that European taste had encountered. The Spanish called it piña because of its resemblance to a pine cone. When English speakers adopted the word, they added apple, as they often did for important fruits. Pineapple. The name stuck. But getting pineapples to Europe was an enormous challenge. A sea voyage from the Caribbean to Spain took weeks. And pineapples do not last weeks. Most pineapples rotted on the voyage. Out of a shipload of pineapples loaded in the Caribbean, perhaps only a few would survive to reach Europe. Each surviving pineapple became extraordinarily valuable, precisely because so few made it. Supply was nearly zero. Demand, once anyone tasted one, was enormous. The economics of the pineapple were going to make someone very, very rich. European royalty became obsessed. King Charles II of England was painted, being presented with a pineapple, as if receiving a gift of state. Louis XIV of France was equally passionate. He reportedly tried to grow pineapples at Versailles. He failed because France was too cold. But the attempt itself tells you something important about how desperately the most powerful men in the world wanted this fruit. Louis XIV's attempt to grow pineapples in France was not entirely doomed. European gardeners began developing the hothouse, a heated greenhouse with large glass panels that could trap sunlight and maintain tropical temperatures even through a northern European winter. The pineapple was the primary motivation for developing European greenhouse technology. We owe modern hothouses to the desire of aristocrats to eat pineapples. Growing a pineapple in a European hothouse was extraordinarily difficult and expensive. A pineapple plant grown from scratch in a hothouse could take 2 or 3 years to produce a single fruit. The fuel costs alone to heat the hothouse through European winters were enormous. Only the very wealthiest could afford the attempt. A homegrown pineapple was not just a fruit. It was a demonstration of almost unlimited wealth. The pineapple became the ultimate status symbol of 17th and 18th century Europe. It appeared in architecture. It appeared in interior design. Stone pineapples were carved onto gateposts. Plaster pineapples appeared on ceilings and fireplaces. Pineapple motifs decorated furniture, wallpaper, and textiles. The Dunmore pineapple, an extraordinary Scottish building, has an enormous stone pineapple as its entire roof. Built in 1761, it still stands today. The renting of pineapples was a genuine business. Enterprising merchants in London would purchase a pineapple, then rent it by the day to people who wanted to arrive at social events, carrying one without paying the full purchase price. After the rental period, the pineapple came back to be rented again until it was finally too old, and the merchant ate it, a fruit with a career. Meanwhile, in the Caribbean, the pineapple trade was growing. European colonial plantations had been established on Caribbean islands. Sugar plantations ran the economy. But pineapples grew abundantly alongside. Ships returning to Europe with sugar and rum also carried whatever pineapples had survived for the voyage. The Caribbean trade was making certain merchants extraordinarily wealthy. The pineapple also carried a powerful social meaning in the American colonies. When a sea captain returned from a successful voyage to the Caribbean, he would impale a pineapple on the fence post outside his home. This was a signal to the community. The captain is back. He is safe. He is hosting visitors. Come and celebrate. The pineapple became a symbol of welcome, of hospitality, of safe return. This tradition of hospitality became deeply embedded in American culture. Pineapple motifs appeared on bedposts to welcome overnight guests, on dining tables to signal generous hosts, on door knockers and entrance hall decorations. Even today, pineapple imagery in American homes carries the meaning of welcome and warmth, even though most people who use it have no idea where the tradition came from. The 19th century changed everything for the pineapple. Steam-powered ships could cross the Atlantic much faster than sailing ships. The voyage time from the Caribbean to Europe fell dramatically. More pineapples survived the journey. Supply increased. Prices began to fall. Still expensive, but no longer the insane luxury of the previous century. The pineapple was beginning its long journey toward ordinariness. But the true revolution was about to come from an unexpected direction: Hawaii. Hawaii had been introduced to pineapples in the early 1800s when the fruit was brought from South America. The Hawaiian climate was perfect for pineapples. Warm, tropical, consistent. By the mid-1800s, small pineapple farms were operating in Hawaii, and then one man arrived who would change everything. James Dole arrived in Hawaii in 1899. He was 22 years old. He came from Boston with a small amount of money and an enormous amount of ambition. He looked at Hawaii. He looked at the pineapple plants. He looked at the American market, full of people who had heard of pineapples but could not afford them. And he had an idea that would make him one of the richest men in America. Dole's idea was simple, but nobody had executed it at scale before. Can the pineapple. If you could seal pineapple in a tin can with its own juice, then the fruit would last. Not weeks, not months, years. It could be shipped anywhere. It could sit on a shelf. Anyone could buy it at any time, in any season. The canned pineapple could reach every American, not just the wealthy. Dole built his canning operation methodically and brilliantly. He developed new machinery to cut and core pineapples at industrial speed. One machine could process more pineapples in an hour than a dozen workers could in a day. He built enormous canneries. He planted vast pineapple fields across the Hawaiian island of Oahu. By 1901, he had incorporated the Hawaiian Pineapple Company. It would become one of the most recognized brands in the world. Dole also understood that he needed to market his product aggressively. He ran national advertising campaigns in American newspapers and magazines, teaching people what pineapple tasted like, what to cook with it, why they should want it. He organized the most successful recipe contest in American food history, offering enormous prize money for the best pineapple recipe. 60,000 recipes arrived. One of them would eventually become the most popular cake in America. The pineapple upside-down cake became an American phenomenon. But it was only one part of a complete cultural transformation. Canned pineapple appeared in everything: pineapple salads, pineapple glazed ham, pineapple punch. pineapple jello, pineapple in cottage cheese, pineapple as a garnish, pineapple as a centerpiece. The fruit that royalty had once rented by the day was now in every American kitchen. By the 1920s, Hawaii was the largest pineapple-producing region in the world. The Hawaiian Pineapple Company, later renamed Dole, controlled an extraordinary share of the global pineapple market. The island of Lanai was purchased almost entirely by Dole and converted to pineapple production. An entire island turned into one enormous pineapple farm. 98% of Lanai was pineapple fields. James Dole became exactly what he had planned to be, one of the wealthiest men in America. The Pineapple King, people called him. The boy from Boston, who had arrived in Hawaii with modest savings and a vision, had built an empire. His canned pineapple was on shelves across America, Europe, and beyond. The fruit that had once required a fleet of ships to deliver could now be found in any grocery store. But the pineapple industry had its dark side. The land that Dole acquired in Hawaii had belonged to Hawaiian people for centuries. The rapid industrialization of Hawaiian agriculture was part of a broader process that had dispossessed native Hawaiians of their land and sovereignty. The same year, Dole incorporated his company. The Hawaiian monarchy had been overthrown just 8 years earlier in a coup backed by American businessmen. Native Hawaiians lost vast amounts of their land as agricultural corporations expanded. The workers on the pineapple plantations were not well paid. They were often brought from the Philippines, Japan, and other countries under labor contracts. That gave them little power. The gleaming cans of pineapple on American supermarket shelves were the product of a system that benefited the wealthy few at the expense of the many. The sweet fruit had a bitter history underneath. In the latter half of the 20th century, the pineapple industry shifted away from Hawaii. Labor costs in Hawaii rose. Land became more valuable for tourism and development than for agriculture. Production moved to the Philippines, to Thailand, to Costa Rica, to Indonesia. Today, Costa Rica produces more than half of all the pineapples consumed in the world, and the last Hawaiian pineapple cannery closed in 2007. And then, in 1962, something happened that would create the most divisive culinary debate of the modern internet era. A Canadian man named Sam Panopoulos was running a pizza restaurant in Ontario on a quiet evening, looking for something new. He opened a can of pineapple and put it on a pizza. He had no particular reason. He was just experimenting. He put ham with it and called it Hawaiian pizza. The Hawaiian pizza was not named after Hawaii. It was named after the brand of canned pineapple Panopoulos used, the Dole Hawaiian label, which is itself an irony since Hawaiian pizza was invented in Canada by a Greek-Canadian man using a canned pineapple whose production had by then moved away from Hawaii. a pizza named Hawaiian that has almost nothing to do with Hawaii. The debate over pineapple on pizza became a genuine cultural phenomenon. In 2017, the president of Iceland said in a radio interview that he would ban pineapple on pizza if he had the power. The statement went viral. People took sides with an intensity usually reserved for actual political issues. The pineapple, which had once caused royalty to spend fortunes, now caused strangers on the internet to argue furiously. Today, the world produces about 28 million tons of pineapples every year. They are available in every season, in every supermarket, in every developed country, for a few dollars each. The fruit that was once the most expensive thing at an English aristocrat's dinner party now sits in a supermarket bin beside the apples and bananas, completely taken for granted. The greatest status symbol in history, democratized, and science has confirmed that the pineapple deserves its ancient reputation as something special. Pineapple contains bromelain, a remarkable enzyme that breaks down protein. This is why your tongue sometimes feels strange after eating a lot of pineapple. The bromelain is digesting the protein in your tongue. Bromelain is now used in medicine for reducing inflammation, for aiding digestion, for treating certain conditions. The pineapple also tells us something important about value, about how the things we want are often not valuable because they are inherently extraordinary. They are valuable because they are rare, and when they stop being rare, they stop being valuable. In the same way, the pineapple did not change. It is the same fruit Columbus tasted in 1493. But its meaning changed completely. From the Guaraní people of ancient South America, who called it nanas, excellent fruit, and simply ate it, to Columbus's sailors, tasting something they had no words for, to European kings who built heated greenhouses to grow a single fruit, to London merchants who rented pineapples by the day, to aristocrats who wanted to seem important, to James Dole, who put it in a can and sold it to everyone. The pineapple is no longer a symbol of wealth, but it is still a symbol of welcome, of summer, of exotic pleasure, of a certain kind of tropical joy, of an internet debate that refuses to die, and of something more quietly important, that the things we value most are almost never valuable for the reasons we think, and that sometimes the most extraordinary thing about an object is the story we tell about it. Thank you for watching this story on Storia English. If you enjoyed learning English through this story, please subscribe to Storia English. Every week, we bring you a new story from history, told in clear, slow, simple English, so you can improve your listening, vocabulary, and confidence. Naturally, without stress. We will see you in the next story.